YouTube. I'm going to paint some object source lighting on my miniature. It is a Games Workshop Necron. I have to say, do not even try to do object source lighting if the miniature isn't finished or done yet. You don't really need to do the base if you don't want to, but you really need the layers on the other parts of the miniature where you want object source lighting to fall on. For instance, if you wouldn't have painted this gun, it would be totally black, and if you would paint the object source lighting on it, then yeah, you might have some awesome object source lighting, but after that you still have to paint the gun, and that's where it gets tricky. So always finish the miniature first. As you can see, I have also painted the gun barrel. This thing is where the glow is going to come from, and yeah, I need a green glow, so I picked out the colors, which will be dark green from Vallejo. Well, you can also use Dark Angels green from Games Workshop, foul green. I don't think Games Workshop has that kind of color, so you probably need to mix some skull white into the Dark Angels green if you're using Games Workshop colors only. I can't just stop saying how important it is to keep your base coat, the Dark Angels green, really thin. Here you can see it's pretty thin, but I could thin it down even more. This is because you still want to see the other highlights of the part you painted before it from underneath it. So you really need to thin down your paints, and yeah, that will solve a lot of things, and so you can still see the highlights underneath it. Picked green for the glow, not only because it already is green, but also because green is a really great color for glowing effects. As you can see, I thinned down my paint just to the right. Alright, you can start painting. To start off, have just a little bit of paint on your brush. And then you're going to apply the paint in all the parts where you want the lighting to hit. That will be on this one. After you've touched up all those places where you want the light to fall, you really have to go over it a few times before it actually shows, because you have thinned down your paint a lot, and well, it shows up better if you use more layers, more thin layers instead of one thick one. So as long as you keep your layers thin, the other layer will show through it, as you can see right here on the gun barrel. I also have to mention that metallics catch light more easily rather than other things, so you might as well overdo it on metallic parts. Here's a little bit of green on his arm, also on his blade, and the rest of the model, also on the gun. It's really dark green right now, so we're going to try and add some highlights to it. Just like normal highlighting, you really need to thin down your paints and keep color really close to the actual base coat to get the best color transition that there is. From here I have used my highlight, and I'm going to touch up some places where more light falls. Again, this should really be thinned down. Oops, messed up there. And in this part you can really see how I did this. The closer you come to the point of where it glows, the brighter it should be. So around here you need a lot of lights. Also on the blade should be more lighter greens. Some on the tubing, it's right here. It's a bit too much. So just gonna make your brush clean. Take a little bit off. You can always add more once it's dried, but you really don't want too much on there. And a bit on that tube too. Some more on his arm. And the metallics, of course. You need to make those brighter than any other part around it. Like I said, it easily catches more light from the model, or actually the glowing part. So you have to touch those things up better. And like the base coat, you probably need more layers of the color. Oh, and don't put too much paint on your brush. That really kills it. I'm going to paint the rest of it now the way I like. Next up, we're going to add some more foul green or skull white if you prefer that to the mix, and start highlighting it actually. Yes, you still need to keep your layers wet in order for this to look any good. The more layers you use, the better it will look. Keep picking out those higher points, the lighter you go. There, I messed up, so I'm going to retouch it. Make it more wet, so it dries up darker. And then after that, try again. It's a lot better. Start picking out edges if you think you're high enough, like here on the gun. And like normally, you will need more layers than one. This is actually way easier if you haven't painted the object itself yet. If I wouldn't have painted the gun, the green glowing thing yet, then there wouldn't have been a problem if I accidentally touched it with some darker green. But now I did, so this might be a problem. So keep an eye out for that. That's some more better. Now I'm going to add even more foul green to our mix. You can almost use the pure foul green. And repeat. Extra careful around these edges, since you're going to touch them up now. Also, don't forget to paint any parts that you've painted before. For example, the arm. Things you might as well forget really easily. Let it dry again.